Welcome back to the Dungeon Coach Plays. We're going over and breaking down session 19 of Rift of Nations, my homebrew campaign. If you like these, we're up to date now. We are officially up to date. I am recording this on the 13th, and you guys are seeing it this week. This is the first time it's happened. We play every other week right now, but once some things fall into place, I do want to play every week. There's just a lot of stuff going on with the main channel and Alkinder's Almanac and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to join in and support all the stuff that we do, you can join my Patreon. I do monthly D&D resources. We have a lot of stuff over there, which is a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to help me be able to do more D&D stuff and create more content like these videos and other videos. I just started a DC Dungeon Coach gaming channel for some gaming stuff that's going to start taking off once we have more time with things. So if you want to join in with this fun in this, then let me know. But anyway, here is the session. Wow. We picked up at the end of the mass combat between a kaiju battle of a gigantic rock and this thing, a Demogorgon, this is a massive one. Look at that paint job. My friend Beth, one of the players' wives, painted this. My God, it is amazing. So this thing, I describe it as a 10-story tall. I mean, it is no joke. This thing is a massive building, a skyscraper size of a monster, Godzilla to the extreme. And they're in the middle of this war, the Grasslands nation of Shagra versus the Tech nation of Aldor. And then the Wanderers, the nation of the Wanderers, come in to join Aldor's forces and stand together against each other. But time out. If you guys have stayed with me and you guys know about the lore and the theories and the themes of all this campaign, the campaign's theme is standing together as one, not betraying each other, bringing people with maybe different viewpoints together to stand together and stand for something they do share in common, right? And I'm not trying to get any sort of, it has nothing to do with the world. I'm not trying to make any sort of statements with this. This is just the theme of this. There's nations at war. And in the past, there was a pact where they all came together. One of the nations was betrayed, or they thought they were betrayed. And then they started turning on each other, and then all these nightmares came in, and all of this evil stuff started happening. So in order to undo this, they have to stand together as one. All 10 nations need to stand together as one to be able to take this thing down. So this big, massive monster of a kaiju situation, it had in this was also mass combat. I have a mass combat system in Alkinder's Almanac. This is the big final playtest for it. I'm about to be publishing it out to my early access backers and stuff. And then the book comes out in about 3 months or so. That's crazy. But this thing is in the context of mass combat. So a full-blown unit has like 40-ish health, but units are in a different category than solo units, and it's a whole big long process that I'm not going to get into in this video. I'll probably do a video on it on the main channel sometime soon. But if a massive structure or an entire unit of squadron has like 50 health, 40 health, maybe 30 if it's a weaker unit, this thing has 1,000 health. Okay, now to give you context of some mechanics going on behind the screens, the players have no idea. They had no idea it had 1,000 health. They had no idea about anything. But 1,000 health is insane, and there's no way within the context of units dealing a little minimal damage, because again, we're in the mass combat system. We're not talking about solo units. Solo units deal half damage to siege units, and they deal a quarter damage to... Okay, anyway. Every time anyone from one of the 10 nations attacked this thing, it lost 100 health. And if all 10 nations, you see where I'm going with this? If all 10 nations, one person just hits, I don't even care how much the damage is for. If they hit, it deals 100 damage and takes off that chunk of the health. So at the beginning of the fight, no one had hit it, and no one seemed like they were going to hit it. I had this whole battle, these 2 battle mats put together, and this thing just was walking across the battle mat. My entire plan, it was never going to attack. It had a layer action at the very beginning of this nightmare fog that was like growing in people's minds. If they failed to save, they would start attacking each other, and they would basically kill the unit off, right? A unit in the mass combat, not the player characters. That would be a lot, just insta death, right? So all this thing was doing is just walking through. That's all I was doing. Never once did I make an attack. I had the capabilities to. I had all the stuff ready for it, but that's all I was doing. If nobody attacked it, it was just going to keep on moving. One unit, I chose an NPC unit from the Wanderers, which is one of the 10 nations. The Wanderers they attacked it. And I just had the archer group, the archer unit, attack it. It hit, and I had some weird magic stuff that I described happen. One of the players saw that there's this energy around the wanderers, popped and left and expanded. There's the energy around everybody. She sees this like white outline around everyone. She has this special vision thing going on, and she sees this energy around them, and then it pops and dissipates off of the wanderers, but everyone else still has the energy. Weird. That's my little clue. If you have no idea what that means, that's fine, even with me explaining the whole thing. What it means is each of the nations need to attack it in order to take it down. And once the Wanderers have attacked it, that energy from the Wanderers is gone. This is now down 100 health. It only has 900 now. If each of the different nations come together as one and attack this monster, they could kill it. They could have killed this monster, dare I say, very easily. If they just stood together as one. What would that have taken? They would have had to convince the nation they were fighting, because they were in a battle against the nation of Shagra, the Grasslands nation. They were fighting them. They would have had to convince them mid-combat, dare I say, not kill them, and learn from the message. And they were just in the ancient ruins about 3 sessions ago. They were in the ruins, and the entire message, 3 different puzzles I gave them were as one, stand together, as one, together. And I've been hammering that across, and they were fighting each other. They were turning against each other, and they were just still fighting, and they were just killing each other. Every time they killed each other, I had the BBEG up on the rock was just laughing and soaking it all in. They never attacked him either. They never attacked this guy. They didn't attack any of the bad guys. They just kept attacking the Grasslands nation. And I kept explaining it. I kept describing these things happening. And I kept trying to give clues about, as you kill each other, this bad guy's getting stronger. And as you're killing them, this energy that people have around them is gathering it together. So because there's less of them, there's more. So as they were killing off the Grasslands people, the remaining Grasslands people had more of this potential energy around them. And then they had 1 unit left. I surrendered at the very end of the mass combat. Spoilers. I'm kind of explaining it thematically overall from the DM perspective of what's going on, because there's mass combat, lots of cool stuff was happening, but there's 1 unit of Grasslands people left, and I said they surrender, right? And there's 2 units of them left, and then the archers were like, she did a good job role playing. I don't think I would have heard that. I would have heard them surrender. I'm like, no, you're really far away. You're at max range right now. Yeah, I totally would see that. So she kills one of them. Boom, they're done. There's 1 left, and they surrender. And one of the players, the druid warlock of the group, the nature caster, describes him wrapping them up in vines and restraining them. I was like, all right, cool, awesome. And I ended the combat, but I ended the combat with this thing still on the field, just walking off into the distance, right? Into the sunset. And Abraxas, the big BBEG, riding on the freaking riding on his giant condor-sized huge bird, swoops down a little bit, explains, thanks them for the show, well done. You did so well the entire time until the end. And he points at them. This is a druid. This is an arc druid of this whole thing. So the vines were a very fitting piece. These vines were restraining the last remaining Grasslands people. And then Abraxas just lifted his hand and crushed it. And the vines just crushed all of the people. So he took the nature magic that the druid of the group, the player character, the PC of the group, used to restrain them, and killed them. He just severed everything and like decapitated. The vines just like cut together. Thorns grew from all of them, and then he shot the thorns into the rest of it and scoured through the battlefield, just finishing off all the people who were on the edge of whatever, and just as a grand show of power. And they couldn't do anything about it. They didn't try. One of the players was like, "Can I try and stop it?" And I was like, I had him hit an opposed spell check to have him just see if they could have a nature fight off, like a counterspell type spell duel thing. And he failed it, and he wasn't able to pass that, which understandably, this guy is a level 20, like super strong type thing. And I respected the attempt, right? And done, flew away, left, right? So the giant Demogorgon's off into the distance, the big boss left, and the battlefield's done. And then there's Sorathis. And if you remember at the end of the thing too, Sorathis, the green dragon, who is the warlock's patron, he is an ancient green dragon that has shapeshifted into a human. He cannot act. If he acts against them, this gets into a lot of the lore. Watch the lore videos on the channel about the backstory of this whole thing. But basically, if this green dragon acts, he causes more openings in the world for bad things to happen. So there's a balance to the scale, and if he acts on it for good, then things on the bad side can act as well. And there's like a rope, like a tug of war type situation. So his entire purpose is not to act onto the world, because if he does, then it's ruining the lessons that are supposed to be meant for the humans of this world to learn their lesson and not fight each other. Because if this dragon tells everybody like, hey, if you just don't fight each other and you kill the big thing, everybody wins. Oh, okay, cool. And then they do it not from the kindness of their hearts, not because they've learned a lesson, but because some ancient green dragon told them to do it and like solve the puzzle for them, made them good people because they had to. Like, oh, be a good person or I'll kill you. Oh, okay, I guess I'll be a good person. That doesn't really have as good of an intention behind it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the restrictions on this ancient green dragon. So the entire time, he never fought the ancient green dragon. I had the ancient green dragon miniature. He's on the thing right there. I never put it down on the table because he never shapeshifted, because they just kept killing each other. They just kept killing each other, and they weren't fighting the actual evil things, right? I gave them all the tools, gave them all the clues, but it just wasn't something that they thought to do, right? Which is fine. And this story is going to be told, and the consequences and the world evolving and what things are happening. This thing is now going to lay waste to some things around it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, and we'll see what kind of ramifications happen from that. But that's the theme. That's what I wanted to get across. I had a mass combat that was cool for mass combat, and I had a whole bunch of stuff taking over units and commanding the units, leading them into battle, and units falling and then merging with other units and like using their features and it was super cool, super awesome. Took down a siege tower, destroyed it. There's the sound sage, the sound mage caster person who almost killed Q that time, escaped and then appeared out of nowhere to try and finish off Q for the last time. And then Q had this nat 20 Constitution save into a nat 20 athletics check to go up a avalanche of mountains that this sound sage had like caused this vibration avalanche. He like parkours up the rocks and then absolutely decimates the dude, dealing 40 damage, which he rolled both of his attacks. He had a whole bunch of pluses from all these boosts that he was getting from his allies. He dealt 40 damage, and I had the piece of paper with the health on it. I said, look, and it was 40. And he dealt the exact amount of damage to kill it. If he didn't, the guy was teleporting out of there. Huge big moment. This like mini little BBEG that had like almost killed Q from before, that I had be this little reoccurring bad guy, which I love whenever I can pull that off as a dungeon master. Q got a huge finisher off on him, and it was crazy. So lots of really cool stuff happened, right? And then there's themes going on. So it's a win-win for me. There's themes going on of this. They could have, if they figured it out, they could have killed him. But I'm not like disappointed that they didn't. I didn't even expect for them to figure that out. It would take a lot to stop fighting a war to turn and fight something else. If there was going to be a trigger to do it, maybe it's this thing, but they didn't put that together. And then now they had a bunch of different things and conversations to have, and they got to go back and lick their wounds and repair and fix things and figure out what they're going to do next. So now what I'm going to do for them as a dungeon master, and I understand there's a lot of lore that they've gotten themselves into. There's a lot of options. It's a very sandbox world. This is a homebrew campaign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a list of the different things going on in the world that they would have known by now. Because we've been playing for 19 sessions now across months of real life time, right? So I am going to categorically organize for them a list of the different stuff going on in the world. So next episode, episode 20, ooh, big episode, episode 20. I'm going to start off that breakdown with that list of showing what is going on in the world as options for my players to do, right? And you know what? I might even just make an episode for next week of showing that. And I'll have next week's episode. It won't be the episode 20 breakdown, but it'll be like the interim. I'll make an interim episode where I show you guys the breakdown of what, because I do these videos every other week. So last week I did an unboxing with my wife. That was really cool. And I wanted to give you guys, that was her first video she appeared in. So that was cool to put on this channel. But next week I'm going to share that list with you guys of all the different stuff that they could be doing in the world and the different options that I'm giving my players. And it's a wide variety of options and how they're going to feel that. What would they do next? What do they do next? What would you do next as a player in my campaign? Ooh, that'd be super cool. So I'm just going to do that. I think that'd be a fun one to make. And then the next video will be episode 20 of what they do, where they go with all that stuff. So big breakdown, big mass combat, big kaiju battle, and at the one of the players at the end, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna see a kaiju battle next," and then there not a single attack was made. A Demogorgon, a massive Demogorgon, a rock with the BBEG boss, the fake BBEG secret, don't tell them the players, and a ancient green dragon. All three of those things were on the same potential battlefield, and not a single one made an attack against anyone. It's almost like that's symbolic and poetic for what the players could have done. And if they stood together as one, they could have taken down some stuff. And if they did start to fight him, then the BBEG would have acted and came in. And then if he acted, then that lets the green dragon act, and it would have been a huge, crazy throwdown. But that's now a throwdown for a different time. So can't wait. Stay creative. Think outside the box, guys. Peace.